Hey there, and welcome. Today, we're going to talk about one of the smallest, but seriously one of the most powerful verbs in the entire English language. It's a word you probably hear, I don't know, dozens of times a day, but never really stop to think about. Yep, we're talking about the verb to get.
So let's just dive right in. Now, while it might not technically be the single most common verb out there, get is so frequent in just normal, everyday conversation. Honestly, learning how to use it right is one of the biggest keys to sounding more natural. It's a real workhorse of the language.
So I've got a question for you. If you had to pick just one word in English that can do the job of a whole bunch of other words, a word that's just incredibly flexible, what would you pick? Just take a second and think about it.
If you guessed get, you are absolutely right. This tiny little three-letter word is a total powerhouse. And for the next few minutes, we're going to unpack all of its secrets together.
You know, when most of us first learn English, we're taught one and only one simple definition for the word get. It's always the first thing you see in any dictionary entry.
And here it is. We learn that to get means to obtain something or to receive something, like I need to get some information. And look, that's totally true, but it's just a tiny little piece of a much bigger puzzle.
So is that the whole story? Not even close. Thinking that get only means to obtain is kind of like thinking a smartphone is only for making phone calls. I mean, sure, it does that, but you'd be missing out on almost everything that makes it so amazing. Now check this out. If you actually look it up, you'll find that get can have somewhere around 50 different uses. 50! I mean, that sounds completely overwhelming, right? But hey, don't worry. You absolutely do not need to sit down and memorize 50 different rules. That would be crazy. There's a much simpler, way more intuitive way to really understand and start using this superverb. Okay, so here's the secret. The best way to do this is to stop thinking of get as one verb with 50 meanings, and instead think of it as a simple replacement for 6 other really common verbs. Let's take a look at what they are. These are our 6 magic verbs: arrive, receive, become, bring, buy, and find. Once you understand how get can just pop in and take the place of any of these, you basically unlock most of its uses in everyday conversation. So let's break them down, one by one.
First up on our list is to arrive. In casual spoken English, it's just way more common to use get when you're talking about reaching a destination.
So, for example, instead of asking the formal question, how did you arrive in London, a native speaker would almost always say, how did you get to London? And the answer, I got here by train, sounds completely natural. See how simple that is?
All right, next is the one we already know pretty well, to receive or obtain something. This is that classic dictionary definition, and yeah, it gets used all the time.
A perfect example is asking about presents. What did you get for your birthday is just a much more common and natural way of asking, what did you receive for your birthday? Now for a really interesting one, get is also used to show a change in a state or a condition, and it replaces the more formal verb to become. And this is a brilliant example. We don't usually say, it is becoming dark. It just sounds a little robotic. Instead, we say, it's getting dark. And you can use this for all sorts of things, like your feelings, I'm getting tired, or for a situation like, this problem is getting worse. So let's quickly run through the last 3 replacements on our list. You'll see they follow the exact same pattern, and they're super useful in everyday situations. Just look at this. Instead of, can you bring me a glass, we say, can you get me a glass? Instead of, I need to buy some milk, it's, I need to get some milk. And instead of, I can't find the right answer, you might hear, I can't get the right answer. It's just so much more efficient and natural. But wait, there's one more really common thing we need to look at. See, get doesn't just replace other verbs. Sometimes it teams up with them. And its favorite partner is the verb to have. So while saying I have a new phone is perfectly fine and totally correct, it's really common in everyday speech, especially in British English, to say I've got a new phone. The meaning is exactly the same, but adding that got just makes it sound a little more informal, a little more conversational. Okay, let's bring this all together. We've taken this verb that seemed super confusing with its 50 different meanings, and we've boiled it down into a simple, practical, and really powerful tool for you. So here it is. This is your Get Toolkit. These 6 replacements will cover the huge majority of situations you're ever going to run into. Thinking of get this way just turns it from a challenge into a shortcut to sounding more natural in English.
So that's the journey we've just been on. We went from a single simple definition to really understanding Get as this versatile, powerful tool that you can now use with a lot more confidence.
So the final question is all yours. Now that you've got this new way of thinking about one of English's most important words, how are you going to get out there and use it?